As we welcome you back to AUSF1 Tier 3 action. We find ourselves in Belgium for the Spa Sprint. So looking forward to tonight's action. We've had a couple of very interesting nights of action. Tier 1 a bit chaotic. Tier 2 was all dry apart from the feature race, which made the inter ties, the favoured tie and tie strategy came down to who won that race. So I'm hoping Tier 3 will provide us as much action as we have seen the last couple of nights. But Scotty here in the box once again for Tier 3, but I am not alone this evening. Alongside me, I have the one and only Zilla, a man that I had a great battle with yesterday. Welcome to the comms box for, I believe, the first time here at Oz.
Evening, Scotty. Thanks, mate. Yeah, that's correct. First time jumping in. Had a good race last night. Yeah, interesting how that played out with the weather situation. Curious to see what happens tonight with T3 here at Belgium. Let's see how we go.
Yeah, we know Spa, obviously longest track on the F1 calendar, just a touch over 7 kilometers, and obviously weather well known to appear from time to time, and obviously 4 sessions of action. Obviously we can expect potential weather in at least 1 or 2 of them. So obviously if you didn't join us for the first couple of nights, sprint format in AUSF1 this season will be your 12-minute sprint qualifying, followed by an 8-lap race around this legendary circuit. Then we go to main qualifying, which is your standard 18-minute session, and then we go to our 50% race as normal, 22 laps around Spa. As we'll quickly have a look at our calendar. So we have Spa this week, and then Canada and Zandvoort round out our month of August that we will have at AUSF1. Quickly looking at our previous race at China before our break week a couple of weeks ago, and Slammer picking up his second victory of the season, just ahead of Tetris and Jetman. Obviously a tie battle. That one was Slammer and Tetris making the one-stop work, Jetman and Matty AU. The two-stopper not quite getting there, Matty AU just missing out on that podium, but scoring good points for Williams. So we've gone green in the lobby. So quickly looking at our driver standings, and it is Red Bull domination for Slammer and Seb K21. 20-point lead, Slammer's way. Tetris, after a very nice round in China, they find themselves in P3, tied with Seb. So Tetris right in the mix. Jetman in P4. Broseph, obviously with that fantastic victory in Bahrain a few weeks ago, in P5 in the standings. Constructors wise, in Tier 2, obviously Red Bull will clear out in front. 58 points the margin to Mercedes. Williams, no podium for either of their drivers, but they're looking really good consistency wise. They're only 16 points off Mercedes, so should be good. Yes, as we've just seen, Kingy, a little bit of detail on the way. Rain at the moment in quali. We'll jump to that very shortly. Overall, constructors, after China, Mercedes with the 48-point lead over Aston Martin, who did a good jump in the China round. Red Bull in P3, Williams, RB, McLaren, Sauber, Ferrari, Haas, and Alpine. Sadly, my team at the bottom of the standings. But long calendars. Hopefully we can get just a little bit higher up. But we will head to our gameplay screen now. You can see it is intermediate conditions, and Zilla, you and me both know how those conditions were for us yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I just loaded into the game myself and wasn't surprised to see wet conditions here once again at Belgium. Thanks, Kingy, in the chat there. So just confirming, weather looks like rain during the sprint qualifying, sprint race, otherwise dry. So interesting to see what the drivers do setup-wise. The 2 Aston Martins are out on track already, very quick, which has me a little bit concerned about what they're going to do setup-wise. But as we did see last night, there was a bit of variation to some drivers sticking to the dry, some going wet, some in between. So we'll see what happens tonight there as Bridger goes off the track, finding a bit of grass on his outlap. So Also, Scotty, we are missing a few drivers tonight, so a few key drivers, Jetman being one of them. So just opens up some opportunity there for a few drivers to make some positions up in the championship tonight. Lots of points up for grabs, of course, through the sprint and the feature race. So yeah, let's get this going.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. Obviously, with the weather situation, you'd usually have just a medium tyre and a soft tyre for this sprint quality session, but obviously with intermediate tyres at play at the moment, it pretty much will just be maybe just run on a set of one intermediate tyres and then pretty much just do laps and then maybe come in with maybe about 4 minutes left to go. Problem is, with this track being such a long lap and with weather, you're looking at nearly your 2 minute lap time, so you can't exactly go for a lot of runs. And as I said, you probably are going to just stick with this set of intermediates as we go. So Aston Martin, they're going to be very, very close together. Hopefully Bridges doesn't get hampered too much, but he has a big moment as we start our first flying lap here for Tier 3 at Belgium, as we got Delhi Fuller making their way through La Source, turn number 1. Very easy just to go a little bit deep there and hurt your run through here. He's weaving a little bit, probably trying to get a little bit of tyre temp. Curious to see if he's got the battery as we come through Eau Rouge and up through Radion. Obviously no DRS in these conditions for qualifying. Just we'll see Bridgie get a little bit of a tow as Delhi Fuller will come through turn number 5, Lacombs. Then switching to the left-hander, turn 6, and then he goes back to the right-hander, turn 7 through Malmedy. And then we come through some of the tighter corners of the track. Ravage is turn 8. Well, he's probably a little bit too much on the curve and he half spins off it. Thankfully, just saves it through turn number 9 of No Name Corner. And then we'll make their way down towards Pouon. It's definitely not flat in these conditions, but keeps it well within track limits. A few guys picking up warnings in the wet last night in Tier 2 there, as we make our way through the right left-hander of 12 and 13. Just trying to get the traction planted. Coming through the first part of Stavolo now, turn 14. Second sector time is a 1:23.787. Second half of Stavolo, and it's now foot to the floor. Pretty much one braking corner left to go. Through Blanchimont now, easy flat out. Still easy with these cars. And the final couple of corners, bus stop chicane, turn 18 the right-hander, switching back to turn 19 the left-hander. Good traction out of the corner despite the conditions. Delhi Fuller will set a 1:53.857. His teammate about half a second behind. And the two Aston Martins, 1 and 2 on track at the moment.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of traffic here as well, Scotty, through Sector 2 in particular. Just about to start Sector 3. Just riding on board with RK going there in the Mercedes. He's just about to start his lap. Yeah, traffic's really difficult to manage here, particularly at the end of the session, Scotty. What we saw last night was a couple of drivers getting out of position there with some, most of the field starting their lap, while a couple of drivers were on a lap, and that just creates a lot of mess when it goes to getting a clean lap. As keeping unseen there in the Ferrari goes provisional pole with a 1:52.8. Several drivers here about to cross the line, so we'll see what comes across the line next, which I believe is the Williams. Evil Blade, Don Moore there in the Ferrari, 1:55.7. It's Peanut goes provisional pole, 1:52.6.
Very nice from Peanut. Very unlucky. He was really quick in Bahrain a few weeks ago. Sadly, just a couple of little moments forcing them all the way down the field. So good to see Peanut having a little bit of pace early on. But again, we are going to be a very quick qualifying session. We're already less than halfway through. More than halfway through this quality session. 5:40 left to go on the clock. So you can see a lot of guys have just decided just to extend this run, knowing that they won't really have a chance to get back in, as we do have one of our championship contenders, Sebi, goes a 1:52.163. Slammer is just about to start their run. So Slammer, I'll be very curious to see what he can do in the wet weather. David on his lap at the moment. The two's next, I think. David will be the one. Where's that Merc? I think that's RK Gaming just in front of him. So we'll see how these two lads get onto. We've got a yellow flag
That's a
with
statement and a half. Statement and a half there, Scotty. Half a second there between 7 Peanut currently.
yeah. I just noticed that, but I think not too surprised by that from Sebi. Problem is, the question is his teammate that he's really going to have to fight. Zarko Gaming goes P6, but then David right behind replaces him. Goes a couple of tenths quicker up into P6. So Alpine looking good, 2nd and 6th at the moment. As we got the Ferrari of Cuban coming in, Donmore picking up full-time seat, T8 dropping his seat. So sad to see him lose full time, but Donmore is the lucky driver that gets that seat, and he goes up into P7. Obviously, the back-to-back lap. So goes a nice lap as you got F1 original Paulie comes across the line, moves up a spot into the 154 flats. As I think we've got the 2 McLarens. So Paulie and Hills on a outlap. Tetris, can he? I think that was just a cool down for him. Batman's in the pit lane. Slammer, we've got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Slammer's just on a purple sector too, so this is looking great so far for him. This lap really needs to count for Slammer. This is his last opportunity to set a lap unless he's fueled for multiple. Coming across the line. It's provisional pole, 151.8.
Nice lap from Slammer. That's 3 tenths clear of his teammate. Slammer's been in really good form across multiple leagues. So it's really good to see him really competitive on this game. Cubing just sitting in the pits on the softs. I don't really think we're going to be dry enough to hit those conditions, sadly. You can still sort of see the rain, and with only 3 minutes left to go in the session, you'd be very surprised if sort of we're anywhere close to dry conditions. As I think
he's just put the inters back on now. I've just seen that happen. Don't know if he was possibly just testing to see if the track was dry enough. Just checking the delta from the pit box, but yeah, it looks like it's still very wet.
Yeah, exactly. Big Impulse, Polo, Venti. Obviously, good to see you in the chat. Hopefully, you're having a lovely Wednesday evening. Should be a good one today. Obviously, a bit of weather to mix up potentially the grid, but we still got the quick boys up front. Tetris coming through second part of Stavilo. So I don't think he's on he might be on a bit of a quick one. He's backed off. Evil Blade. Where is that? That must be just in pit lane.
Ooh. No. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think F1 Original Paulie was the one that had the moment. VSC Paul and Hell, however, is about to finish their lap. So Paulie and Gob, the final 2 drivers, yet to set a lap time. Paul and Hell goes up into P15. Does have just enough time to go another lap. Gob's a little bit further away.
I'm just watching Gob here, Scotty. He has done a purple sector 1, hasn't set a lap time yet at all, so there's an awful lot of pressure here on him to make this one count. Not far off the sector 3 line, but he's got very good deployment left there in the battery, so we'll see how the rest of this lap pans out. It's looking pretty tidy so far in these wet conditions. As we come across the sector 3 line now.
24.1.
124.1.
He's a little bit off sort of where the other guys were. I just wanted to catch Deli Fuller coming across the line now. And they have time, so they're going to start another lap. So we'll go back to Gob. Needs a 54, obviously 3 seconds behind Slammer. If you can find a bit of time in this final sector, might be able to jump a couple of positions, but he has a moment out of the first part of the bus stop. So better exit out of the final corner. He goes across the line. Does jump up a spot, P15. 54.7. Got the Ferrari of Cubing starting their final run. So we'll see if these track conditions have sort of gotten any better. Tetris has actually gone purple in the middle sector for him. King Dogger is starting 1. I want to double check. Donmore looks to be actually on a hot lap. No, he's probably backed off to go for this final run. So we'll go back to Tetris. 52.9. He's about a second off. We'll see if he's got the margin. He's green in the first, purple in the second. So can Tetris put it on pole position for the sprint. He can't. He misses out by a 1/10.5, but that's a great lap from Tetris at the end. What about the other McLaren of Paul and Hill? Has he been able to go again? No, he can't. So checkered flag is now out. Next one across the line will be Seb P3.
Yeah,
Wait,
so
he's
Seb's
on.
had a crack on the softs. I was watching his outlap, Scotty. He had a huge moment at the end of the first DRS straight. Actually hit the wall, lost his front left end plate there, as you can see on the soft. So a bit of a gamble there for Seb. Unfortunately, didn't quite pay off, but at the moment, he's starting from P3, so a few cars left across the line.
Yeah, he might actually be able to get a nice run. Oh, that was lucky from Bridgie. Surely that should have been an invalidation, but it was P6 nonetheless. So he got lucky. I thought the game can be something like that. Deli Fuller is up by 7/10 of a second through the second. Oh, but he lost a little bit of time, sadly. So no improvement from the second of the Aston Martins. How's Gob going? So 54.7. That was a not
He's
that.
up half a second.
Oh, the first part was nicer, but yeah, he was just having a moment, but he found time 6/10 of a second as Cubing Unseen goes quickest by half a second nearly. Peanut goes into P3. What about the lone Haas? Batman, he tried the softs as well. And he goes into P6, so the softs were there. So it's nearly stopped raining, so the softs nearly paid off. Donmore around the final corner. Has the track dried out enough that he can move up. He can inside the top 8. So track evolution was quite large, but I'm very surprised that he made those, Batman made those softs work. But he got within 7/10 of pole, but hey, he chanced it, so clearly the rain was sort of dropping off. So he had the gamble, and he's got himself in a not too bad position, starting on the 4th row of the grid. Tetris is done and dusted, so it was Cubing Unseen. Lovely lap at the end. I think Slammer, obviously they bailed into the pits early, and I think that's just hurt them. They just didn't get the best track conditions at the time with this sort of rain easing off. So Cubing Unseen, he was on the right part of the track at the right time, and that's a decent margin, 3.5 tenths.
Absolutely, yeah. The track looks like it definitely did ramp up a lot quite at the end. Very unfortunate for Seb there. So Seb went from P3 to P6 after his soft gamble a little bit too early there. But yeah, interesting session.
Yeah, he got some work to do. So you want to just quickly run us through our results for Sprint Quali?
Yeah, so pole position, we've got Cubing Unseen, followed by Slammer, Peanut, Tetris, King Donga, Seb, The Batman, Donwar, Bridgie, DMA, Arcade Gaming, Deadly Fuller, Evil Blade, F1 Original, Paulie D, Almighty Gob, and VSC Paul and Hell rounds up the top 16. Few drivers missing tonight.
Makes it so much easier when you have co-coms that I can easily fix up Racing League tools and put the right names where they're meant to be. So I appreciate that. But yeah, great. Oh, that's
a lot of rain.
That's a lot more than what we had in quali. So then again, we thought we were going to have start on the wets last night, but actually the rain wasn't as heavy. But that's certainly looking heavier than what we had last night. So this should be very interesting. And I think the drivers still technically have a choice in terms of whether they want to start on the wets or the intermediate tyres. So the game automatically starts you on wets. I'd be very curious to see if someone takes the gamble and maybe tries an intermediate tyre, because track conditions should be a little bit better towards the end of the race. But obviously no pit stops are required in the sprint, so they'll be taking these wets or intermediate tyres to the end.
Yeah, although they're not required, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some. Let's see how we go into turn 1 here in wet conditions. Hopefully the boys keep it clean.
This is going to be a fascinating race. Thank you very much for joining us. I think you're in for a ripper opening lap of the sprint. This is round 5, tier 3, Belgium. And our lights are out and we're underway, and it was a good start from Cubing Unseen. He has the inside line coming into turn number 1. You got Peanut on the inside of Slammer. Slammer's got the intermediate tyre, so there's a bit, and Peanut's around. He's in the wall. So I don't know if he got tagged, but he definitely lost traction. So Peanut, sadly, losing out in the first sector or first corner. He's the only one so far as we come up through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. And Seb's already made up a couple of positions. Someone went wide at the back. We'll have a look at our tyres. You can see a complete difference with half the grid. Cubing Unseen starting on the wet, Slammer on the intermediate tyres. As we scroll further through the field, we're side by side between David and Donmore. Donmore getting the position, and David sort of being fed out wide. He'll have the inside line, but you've got Batman trying to harass him around the outside. I think he'll just have the position. No, he won't. David going to try and fight him back at Ravage. Batman on the outside line.
Here comes RK as well. RK's trying to hang around the inside.
Yeah,
get the move done.
Not quite, but it's very, very close. We go single file now. All the Astons onto the grass. That was Deadly Fuller having a moment out of turn 9. And through Pawn, surely he struggles to keep that within track limits. No, thankfully he does. So you can see half the grid's gone an intermediate tyre, half the grid's gone a wet tyre, and Cubing Unseen seems to have made the wet tyres work at the moment. About a second lead over Slammer, but again, we've got 8 racing laps to find out which tyre will be the better tyre at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, Scotty, winters are the way to go, but this does look like awfully heavy rain. We'll need to see over the next few laps whether a dry line will start to form or not. But just a quick summary there on the first lap so far. Seb's already up 2 positions, Bridges up 3, great start. Let's see towards the front, moving into the bus stop chicane. Are we going to see any late moves into the bus stop? Not yet so far. Drivers have kept it clean, single file line so far. Cubing Unseen first across the line.
Yeah, and obviously, sadly, Peanut coming into the pit lane. He's got front wing damage. You can see on the left-hand side of his wing. So he'll come and get that replaced. You never know. You might have a few cars maybe have plenty of issues, but top 10 points for the guys. So 10 points for our sprint winner goes all the way down to P10 with 1 point. And tyres back up for everybody at home. So I think the thing will be Cubing Unseen is going to be the one that will have to look for some water more so than what Slammer does. So I think Slammer knows this game inside and out, of course, so he knows
Seb's
that...
all the way... Sorry to cut you off there, Scotty. Seb and Tetris are going side by side. Around Seb was all over the back of Tetris. He's trying to keep the outside line. No, he's pulled out of it. He's thought a little bit smarter there. They'll have a go here into Puan. Up inside.
Should be an easy move. No, Seb knows he's got this championship to fight for. He just can't send a silly lunge. And yes, even though it's less points in the sprint, he does not want to lose points to Slammer like he already is. He's going to drop 2 points if positions stay as they are. They should change because the wets surely should be struggling a lot more towards the end, especially when you sort of get that a little bit of a drier line forming. So obviously race strategies, absolutely none. They'll be keeping with the tyres that they have for the entire time. Bridgie is sort of the one that's holding the pack up just a little bit. Still running in a nice P6. About half a second in front of Donmore and David. Donmore choosing to go to the wet tyres as well. But yeah, it's definitely Seb that's trying to make a bit of a hustle. As Cubing with the fastest lap once again at 203.592 as we ride on board with the Red Bull. So we'll see what he can do as he gets close to the inside wall at La Source. But it's all about traction out of turn number 1. Yeah, just didn't quite have it. Because Seb wants to be as close as he can as Donmore gets past Bridgie. Bridgie, I think, having a moment out of turn number 1. Definitely good battles. Yeah. Oh, and Bridgie just barely keeping that within track limits. So watch for David now. He'll have to go around the outside. So side by side, he's going to have to do it the long way if he can. But I think that Aston Martin just has a little bit more speed. But David has the better confidence in braking, and he does get the job done. I thought the extra speed that Bridgie had, but maybe Bridgie just running a little bit higher, a little bit lower wings, but that helped David in the corners. So lovely move from David. We'll see.
Yeah, great racing from the two there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how well they can get up, how well he can get up to Donmore. Donmore about 3.5 seconds off this battle. As Seb, once again, he was very close through Puon. So he's clearly a lot better in those couple of corners, but Tetris can just hold the margin here. Obviously, you're looking at the bus stop chicane, turn 1, and then obviously at Lacombs for your 3 big passing opportunities around here.
Yeah, it seems Seb's got a lot more confidence, I think, than Tetris, but very similar battery deployment here as well. But it's just interesting to see the variation between the wets and the inters. I can't really tell yet which is the optimal tyre. Like, I think it's inters, but both of the drivers appear to be competitive, so it's interesting right at the moment.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see some tyre data, so it is going to be curious to see what can do it. But Slammer setting the fastest lap. So are the wets just starting to drop off just that little bit? And Apollo saying in the chat, if it might get dry at the end of the sprint, that will really screw the weather runners. As Cubing Unseen, he's just going to have to manage those tyres a little bit to make sure he's got something to fight for at the end of the race. Obviously, you can already see on board with that Ferrari the dry line that's forming. So Cubing wants to be off that as much as he can. As we'll go back to Seb, both of these drivers just looking for the extra water to keep their tyre temps down. As Peanut setting the fastest lap on the new set of wet tyres. Tetris has a moment through turn
Seb's
6.
got a good run here.
Yeah, through Malmedy. Undercut or switchback. Yeah, and it should be an easy move from Sebi. Obviously, he just saw the twitch from the McLaren ahead. He lined that up perfectly. And Tetris, nothing he could really do. Yeah, exactly right. So, lovely move, Seb. He's now got a 3-second gap to his teammate, but they are on the same tyre. As Bridgie, first driver to pick up a 3-second penalty. Oh, he went wide and there's damage. And RK...
contact with RK.
Yeah, RK, the right side end plate now gone off the Mercedes, and you can just see him run super wide. So look for the Batman to try and capitalise on the move. It's not going to really be easy through here. He just has to wait for RK just to go that little bit wide with the wing damage. You just see him really struggling to keep within track limits. Through Stavolo, big slide from the Merc. Does Batman try and go side by side? Through 15, he doesn't, he backs off. But you can see RK on the gravel. Here's Batman's chance as we come around the little kink, and it is going to be Batman gets up into P9. So good choice not to fight through the entry of 15, but off the exit. Lovely move as the inter-runners are now the quicker tyres, it would seem, as Cubing still holding good pace. But Slammer and Seb, they've got pace to kill, and I think Tetris is going to be in a little bit of trouble to King Dogger behind, who's getting very close behind him. As we got nearly 3 wide going into turn 1 between RK Gaming, who's decided to stay out with the wing damage, Evil Blade and Deli Fuller as well. Hopefully we can get up the hill fine. You just want to keep an eye on the Dom or David battle for me, because that's looking close as well. Oh,
yeah,
that's...
he's really struggling there, RK, unfortunately. Got broken in quite.
Deli Fuller goes wide. David easily getting the move done. He's up to P6. But what about RK and Evil Blade? Evil Blade has the inside line as we come to Lacombs. And that's going to be an easy move for the Worms driver. Up inside the top 10 now and scoring the final points-paying position in the sprint. As we have just reached over half race distance, 3.5 laps left to go.
Yeah, just watching towards the front here as well, Slammer has reduced the deficit there to Cubing, who's on those wet weather tyres. So very similar battery deployment here as well, just under a half a second off the race leader on the wets. Interesting to see how quick these tyres will fall off. From my end, it looks like the rain maybe has slowed a little bit. Not sure if that's just a sort of visual thing on the game, but Slammer is definitely gaining here on Cubing. Might even be close enough with some battery deployment to make a move into the bus stop. But yeah, other than that, there's a couple of trains here forming behind Domor and Batman. But yeah, so far everyone's kept it relatively clean.
Yeah, I'm just going to be curious to see the lap time, because I think Sebi's about to set another fastest lap. As he comes across the line, you can see Slammer right on the backside, 2:01.1, but Seb went another half second quicker than that. So I think Cuban might be in a little bit of trouble here. I think those wets are just starting to struggle a little bit because you can see the weather conditions on board the Ferrari. The rain has definitely eased off. So Slammer and Seb have definitely made the right call. But King Cubing, obviously no DRS, but it might not even matter because Slammer, so much more confidence coming up Eau Rouge, and he's got the inside line. He's actually made the pass already before they even get anywhere near the braking zone. And Slammer takes the race lead with 3 to go. Cubing Unseen, I think he's going to struggle a little bit to stay on this podium. Thankfully, King Dogger hasn't been able to pass Tetris yet. But I think it's only going to be a matter of time with these conditions getting worse and worse. King Dogger thought about a little look down the inside at Ravage, but thought better of it. But I think those Wests have really now starting to struggle with overheating in these conditions.
Yeah, and Seb's caught right up to the pack as well. At the start of this lap, he was about 1.8 seconds behind. He's now brought that deficit down to 6 tenths, or 5 tenths now. So Seb will be competitive here against Cubing as well on those wets. Looking a little bit behind here, King Dogger all over the back of Tetris 2. Again, another wet weather tyre runner. Seems to be struggling on those tyres. So we'll see if King Dogger is able to take advantage of that situation, although Tetris does have a massive battery advantage here, which in the wet, Scotty, you know, battery is massively important outside of that. Very difficult passes.
Seb gets a little bit onto the grass, but he's surely going to get it done around the outside at Blanchimont, and does just that. So nice move from Seb. It's back to a Red Bull 1 and 2 or the sprint. Curious to see if Seb wants to have a little lunge at his teammate, try and pinch a point in the chat. Could be all important at the end of the season. You never know. It might, even though it's a long season. As Seb goes about another 4 tenths quicker, and they both made the move on Cubing Unseen, both down the straights as well. So both of them have got really good pace. So obviously pointing to Cam in the chat. Yeah, I think Cubing was sort of thinking maybe wet weather. It definitely looked like it, but Slammer, as I said before, he sort of knows the game in and out. He'd know if it was especially going to dry up. Inters were definitely going to be the better tyre. If you could just hang on in those opening 2-3 laps, which is what he did, he was going to be in a much better condition at this stage. And they've already dropped Cubing Unseen by a second. So Tetris actually doing a good job holding King Dogger behind. Actually, I thought he would have actually lost that position already. So we know King Dogger.
Yeah, he's just not able to get through.
Yeah, we know King Dogger's you seen it on occasion. King Dogger can be just that little bit too harsh on his tyres. So I'm just wondering if that's just playing to an effect, or it's just how great Tetris is driving. But in saying that, he's got a great run off turn 9. But again, nowhere near close enough to be able to just send a clumsy lunge down. And he goes wide as well. So that's just going to throw more time away. He did back off a little bit to make sure he didn't pick up a penalty or a warning, but he's now outside that 1 second gap now. So with only just over a lap left to go, he's got some work to do. Seb, meanwhile, is just about to get in 1 second, and he's gone purple again. Obviously, track condition improving. I'm seeing everybody pretty much setting green sector times that I can see. So track's getting better and better. And Seb, he's got great pace through the second part of Stavelot and through Blanchimont. He's closed that gap by half a second. So Seb, he's got the pace, but how hard do these boys fight each other? I know they're in the VC together. So does Seb now try and fight his teammate as we go to the last lap, and Seb will pick up fastest lap? Obviously, no points associated with it picking up a fastest lap in the sprint. So it is 10 points versus 9 at the moment. So Slammer will increase his lead to 21 points if he can remain in front. But Seb's going to be very hungry to take this sprint win.
Yeah, there's a big old dry line formed here, Scotty. So these wet weather runners are going to be struggling this last lap. Just looking at Batman currently P9, looking for the final points paying position for the sprint. He's been catching Donmore consistently this lap, and he's had that gap at around sort of 3 to 5 tenths this entire lap. So he'll be looking to make a move during this lap to get that final points paying position. But Evil Blade and the Williams is right behind him as well. So can they make it 2 for 1? Batman goes around the outside. just manages to hold the position as just Donmore goes around.
Yeah, little half spin. So the good thing for Donmore, because points go down to 10th, he's on 1 point. Problem is Deli Fuller's on an intermediate tyre. So Donmore, he was P8 30 seconds ago. Will he drop 3 places and completely drop out of the points? Hopefully not, but it'd be just a shame. Yeah, clearly the tyre choice wasn't quite there. Back up front, it is 0.3 of a second, so it's going to be the bus stop chicane. If Sebi wants to do anything, he got a great exit out of here last time. It's an even better exit, but Slammer did all right. It's 2.5 tenths. How much battery do these two have? And do we see a lunge for Seb? He opens up the corner through Blanchimon. Slammer really pushing him on board with Seb, and he's backed off. So no crazy things, just for a point. So it's going to be line astern, and as we come around the final corner, it will be Slammer taking it the sprint win here at Belgium. Sebi K will take the bragging rights for fastest lap. He'll finish in P2. Red Bull once again dominant in Tier 3. Cubing Unseen managing to hold on the wet tyres in P3. Tetris holding off King Dogger for P4. David, great result for him. Oh, as we scroll down.
The move there. Yeah, there's a bit of contact there. They're neck and neck.
Side by side. And it's going to be Deadly Fuller who takes the final points paying position. Donmore sadly losing that third position on the final lap. He finishes outside the points. RK Gaming and Paul and Helen and F1 Original Paulie fighting side by side. And it is going to be Paul and Hell who picks up 13th. Gob will finish in 15th. And Peanut, sadly, with that spin at turn 1 on lap 1, will come across the line in P16. But great race for the sprint. Obviously, weather conditions most certainly came towards the intermediate runners. And it is Red Bull 1 and 2 once again. As if you don't mind, just quickly running through our results once again.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Slammer, Seb, Cubian Unseen, Tetris, King Donga, David, Bridgie, The Batman, Evil Blade, Deadly Fuller, Donmore, RK Gaming, Paul and Hell, Original Paulie D, Almighty Gob, and Peanut, rounding up your top 16.
Yeah, fascinating battle. Bridgie, the only driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty. Obviously, you're a little bit more cautious in the wet weather conditions. So, but yeah, clearly the intermediate tyres were the right call. But yeah, Slammer holding on. As I said, I think if it was anybody else, Seb would have had a little bit of a lunge down that inside. So, as we head into qualifying, so overcast conditions, so we will be seeing the dry tyres. So I think we had someone in the chat earlier saying that it is going to be a dry feature race, so a little bit of all conditions that we'll see tonight. So we'll see if some of these guys just have a little bit better luck in these dry conditions.
Yeah, just looking back at that sprint, I think the wet runners will probably regret that decision with what they did, particularly Cubing Unseen, who I think lost out the most there, starting on pole, dropping back to P5, I think in the end there it was on the wet. So unfortunate, but yeah, moving on. So I believe it'll be dry for the rest of this short quali and race, but we'll see what happens. Just having a quick look, quali last night, so pole position last night was 1:41.8. They're from Hendo in Tier 2. So yeah, we should certainly expect to see something in the 42s, probably maybe even 43s for pole. But yeah, we're underway for quali.
Yeah, exactly right. So I believe all the drivers will have two sets of soft compounded tyres to be able to run in this session, and then whatever tyre balance selection they picked, so either a hard, a medium, or a third set of softs. So I'd imagine a lot of the guys would have either picked balanced or a harder selection, as you can see a few guys out on those medium tyres. So they'll get a bit of little bit of running on them. As we'll quickly throw up, because I will want to show the quick little sprint graphic. But get that up. As we see a few cars out on track, we're following King Dogger at the moment.
Scotty, Matty AU needs an invite. I'm not sure if that's something you can help with or if someone else will do it.
I'll see if I've got him. I'm pretty sure I do, so we should be right with that. Where are you, Matty?
While you're doing that, King Dong will be the first car to start a lap during this quali in the Kick Sauber. Starting on the mediums. Yeah, as Scotty was saying, so a couple sets of softs, set of mediums or hards depending on your allocation. So not a bad idea to start your first run just to get a delta there on your mediums, and then do your last couple runs on the softs. Nothing more satisfying than seeing you improving on your lap time. So King Dong will be the first one to start his lap on the mediums.
Well, do you want to take us through a lap of this 7-kilometre circuit with the King Dogger?
Yeah, so Donga's just got a little bit of squirrely there on the exit, draining the battery down into Rouge and Radeon, down to about 50%. He's still had the battery pinned. Interesting. Managed to keep the car stable. DRS wide open. We should be running a fully dry setup here during this session. So top speed so far 338, I believe that was. Purple first sector, nice and tight. Keeping it clean, staying out of the gravel, using all the track there. A little bit of battery. Want to keep a really, really tight line here on the right-hander. As close to the curb as you can. Easy on the power. Using all the track here on the exit without touching tyre in the gravel. Fruit on. Big lift there. He's kept it in 7th gear. Half battery is left. A lot of battery there for the last run here. Keep it tidy. Still in 4th gear up to 5th. Looks pretty clean so far. No major mistakes. Now he'll deploy that battery all the way down to around 20%, 15%. Got to be careful here at Spark, because as soon as you hit that sort of 15% mark, it'll use up all your deployment and you'll lose a bunch of top speed. So looks like he's caught onto that into the bus stop. Goes really deep there into the last corner. Don't know how that wasn't invalidation. Just managed to keep it on the track.
Yeah, as he gets a 44.2. Yeah, he was very lucky didn't get invalidation, but a couple of squirrely moments through there. But again, on the medium compounded tyre, so I don't think he was sort of expecting a whole lot. Just obviously getting the banker lap in, as we've got his teammate Gob coming through the final corner. He's on the soft compounded tyre, so he's obviously choosing to get them first. He goes P2. As you got the Ferrari keeping unseen, he goes back up to where he finished the sprint quali in P1, Domwar in P3. As we've got a lot of guys coming through the final corner. How about F1 Original Paulie? He goes inside the top 3 as well. The Haas comes across the line to begin their first lap. As we have Peanut just about to start their first run as well. So here is, as we've got F1 Original Paulie just on the gravel, I think potentially getting out of the way of the Haas.
Yeah, he's just letting that Haas through.
So you got Bridgie
I
on
noticed as well, Gob had an awful lot of battery left too at the end of his lap, so I'm not sure if he made a mistake there in his deployment, but had about 55% battery left at the end.
Yeah, how would you manage, as we're sort of seeing these guys out on track on sort of cool down laps or beginning hot laps, how would you sort of manage your ERS battery around here? Obviously, you're sort of using it in 2 big areas, but sort of how were you sort of planning it out yesterday?
Yeah, it's interesting on the battery here because, like I said, as soon as that deployment gets down to about 15%, you lose a lot of top speed and the deployment's gone. So, got to be careful. There's a bit of battery leading across the start-finish straight just to start the lap with a bit of extra top speed. Heading up towards Radeon Rouge through the DRS straight, you want to drain to about 50-60%. Whereas just as I watch Bridgie, he's reversing on the track there to come into the pit entrance. That's not ideal. Anyway, after the first DRS straight, it's really just a couple spurts right around until you get through to Bourne, and then there's a bit more deployment there. It's kind of bits and pieces here in this track. It's a tricky one.
Exactly, as we see Jetman joining as Arcade Gaming goes quickest on a 44.2. it is 3/1000ths of a second covering first and second, and less than a tenth covering, including King Dogger as well. So we're just saying Jetman's in. So obviously Jetman couldn't join at the start of the sprint quali, but he's been lucky enough to be able to get his seat back. So Jetman obviously missing a few points in the sprint. He'll be in with the shout to pick up, try and pick up maximum points for the feature race. Obviously 30 points on offer for the race win, 2 points for fastest lap, of course. As we see... Yeah, I've just got Evil Blade with no front wing, so he's clearly had a moment somewhere on the track. And he just gets out of the way at the Haas behind. As you got Seb and Seb just starting his lap, Slammer just about to start it. He's got Matty AU on an outlap as well. Who have we got? Who's that Aston Martin coming through? Delifuller on an outlap. Someone went
Slammer's just starting his lap as well.
Yeah, I think we might follow Seb for a little bit here because he's gone purple in the first sector. No surprise at all. As hopefully that's not right, I should say, but I think he's got half a second quicker in the first sector alone. I'm hoping that's not right. We want to see a few more guys in this sort of qualifying battle, but with Jetman in here, it is definitely possible. As Seb coming through Puon with his first run, Tetris goes a 43.4, 8 tenths clear of the pack. That's a very nice lap from Tetris, but I have a feeling Seb and Slammer, they will be right on that time, if not ahead of it. As Seb goes a 14.6 to the second sector delta. Purple in the middle, it's saying on his end. Lost the purple in the first. Someone's gone quicker, potentially with a bit less downforce. As he comes through Blanchimont or the final corner now. Bus stop chicane. That's a nice line from Seb there. Trying to cut the track down as narrow as he can, and he goes a 42.4, 1 second clear of Tetris behind. Seb,
wow.
Absolutely flying. I'm pretty sure I did a slower lap time than that yesterday, even though I sort of had to adjust my main quali for sort of the weather conditions that we were having. Our Slammer going. Slammer was only a 15 flat, so he was a little slower. Yeah, he's 6 tenths down, Slammer. That's a hell of a lap.
He was 4 tenths off at the second sector line. I was watching that lap just as Seb crossed the line as well, so unfortunately not able to capitalise there in his first run. But we do have 8 minutes left, so there is enough time for 1 or 2 runs to go. Deadly Follow there currently hasn't set a lap crossing the line. What's it, provisional P9? Who do we have next? Matty Au's done a 16.3 there in the second sector, so he's actually had a very tight lap so far. Matty AU there in the Williams. Lots of battery left. This looks pretty tight. He's kept 38% still heading into the bus stop as he's coming across the line. Yeah, we're a bit off there, 44.5. Left a little bit too much battery in reserve there, Matty.
Yeah, I think obviously getting a lap time in. Sorry, I was doing something in the background. King Dogger goes he's a second up, sorry, by the time he gets to the second sector, or through the second sector. So this will currently put him on a 43.2, which will put him in between Slammer and Tetris. If you can find a bit more time, he can potentially jump into the 42s. Obviously, the soft compounder tyres on board the Sauber. Round in the final corner, little slide off exit, and he does a 43.092. Just behind Slammer, but nice position currently, second row of the grid.
Just trying to see who else is on the lap. We've got Paul and Hell there in the McLaren, currently P12. Is on a lap. It's just watching the Williams there of Matty. Yeah, it looks like he's on an in lap. Paul and Hell's currently improved just under 4 tenths. That's looking promising so far for him. Needs to find some time though. He's actually 9 tenths up on his lap, but still needs to find quite a lot of time there in the top 10. Jetman is also on his first lap. Used a significant amount of his batteries coming up to the Sector 2 line. What's it going to be for him? It's a 15.8 so far. Purple Sector 2. Jetman are really looking to set a strong bank here to get some confidence. Coming into this session a little bit late, Jetman hasn't had that sort of track time with the sprint quali and the sprint race. So, yeah, he'll really want to set a strong banker here.
Yes.
Coming through the bus stop.
Oh no,
he's pulled out.
I think he might have been worried about the the time. 5.5 minutes left to go. So by the time he completed that lap, got around, he should have had enough time. But clearly he thought that lap wasn't quite there. But he's got a bit of a feel for it. So he's going to have to make sure that
he was flashing fuel. Yeah, I just noticed his flashing fuel as well. So I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, if he was flashing fuel and he was at minimum speed through the rest of the lap, he may not have actually made it back. So I think probably a good call from Jetman, just playing it cautious, but he's got a lot left to do for the final for his final lap. As Evil Blade, I think was a little bit slow. It was a 16, and you could just see a little bit of gravel on his tyres, so he's clearly run wide, potentially through Stavolo as he comes through Blanchimont now. So only 3 drivers out on track at the moment. And we're currently watching the second of the Williams drivers, Evil Blade. No lap time on the board. So this should move him up. And it does, just inside the top 10 of 44.654. He'll be cutting it close to getting to pit lane and get on another set of tyres. Or he might just be a little bit over fueled and can go again. Paulie will come into the... VSC Paulie will come into the pits. F1 Original Paulie is on a lap and is currently a 10th and a half down through the first sector. So, as we come to 4 minutes left to go in the session, do we actually think anyone's going to be able to beat Seb's time? Or probably not?
I'd be surprised if anyone beats a 42.4 in this division, yeah. Yeah, so that 42.4 is good enough for P4 in Tier 2 last night. So
Jesus,
that's a hell of a lap there from Seb.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. 43. Yeah, he's 7/10 quicker than what I did. I know it was slightly altered setups in the main race, but still. Yeah,
there'll be some questions there. And I'm just reading the T3 chat. There's some questions there around that lap. So
Seb was always gonna be borderline, but that's a hell of a lap time. Problem is whether or not he can do that in the race proper. As we see F1 Original Paulie coming around the final corner. It said purple in the middle for himself. He goes top 5. Great lap from F1 Original Paulie.
Yeah,
good pace around here. P5 43.765. Obviously, you're going to have everybody coming back out. Evil Blade comes into pit lane. 250 left to go. This is gonna be close. This is gonna be very close to come out. But we got 250 left on the clock.
I don't think. Yeah. Look, I think it's enough time technically, but he's going to be pushing flat out on that lap. He's going to probably put 2 or 3% wear on those tyres.
If anything,
if he can make it to the line.
If anything, it might actually give him a hand because you'd see all the cars coming out of pit lane. So we're going to have a similar scenario than what we had last night, where everybody's trying to come out as late as possible to get the best track positions, and you're sort of having to sort of fumble over each other. Thankfully for these guys, I think the next car on a lap is the Sauber, and they're all the way down in Sector 2 at the moment. But as I said, it's a fast final sector. Gob's lucky enough he's on an out lap. Peanut is on a hot lap, and Peanut is going to have a whole bunch of traffic he's going to have to get through.
Oh no!
So
yeah, that's not ideal.
If the guys are listening, you may want to try and get out of the way for the Alpine, and if anything, it's just going to be dirty air that will affect him as he comes through Ravage. So he'll have a bit of track time. You do not want to pick up a license point for a quality block, as the Ferrari, that's going to be either cubing or Dom Wall. Ferrari does a good job getting out of the way. It's got to be dirty air. Surely that's going to be affecting me, especially through here. Yeah. The Red Bull, I think, is just far enough away. But I'd be very curious to see what the Alpine is up or down through this sector. It is half a second. Problem is he's comparing that to a 48-1. So Peanut,
Yeah,
hey,
he's lost a bunch of time here.
yeah, great pace in the wet, may not so in the dry. So hopefully he's got a lot of time in the final sector. He's going to have a Merc through. He won't really get held up. Oh, but that won't help. And that's a spin. And he just avoids, obviously, trying not to block the track. So he comes across the line. He does improve. And he had 1.6 second and he bangs the wall in frustration, I'd imagine.
You don't want to block another car as well, Peter.
Yeah, got to be a little bit lucky that he didn't. So as we have 25 seconds left on the clock, King Dogger is going to come across the line. So Paulie's out of fuel, so he won't go again. I think that is Paul and Hell should come across the line. 10 seconds left to go. He starts his lap. It's going to be Evil Blade. Evil Blade is going to be one that misses out, sadly, as we hit the checkered flag in 2, 1. That is it. So it is going to be Tetris, the first one on or to come across the line. He's a tenth and a bit up. Needs to find more time to get close to King Dogger and Slammer. Comes across the line. He does go to the front row at the moment, though. You've got a lot of guys behind on lap times, though. The Aston Martin of Bridgie. He's up 1.6 seconds. This will put him somewhere in the 45s. If he's got time, it wasn't too bad. Comes across the line now. He goes 13th, but what about Slammer? Comes across the line. Can he take pole position from his teammate? No, he can't. And look at the gap, 200ths of a second. Cubing Unseen goes P5. The Haas of Batman comes around. He's up by 3.5 tenths. Comes across the line. Jumps up inside the top 8. The Mercedes of Jetman, his one and only lap time. And he goes P6. Good lap at the end. But what about Seb? Can he increase his gap? He's up by 1.5 tenths. And he goes even quicker at 42.313. As we have a lot of guys come across. Yeah, Matty AU, Paul O'Neill left to come across the line. A few guys are moving towards the back. Where's King Dogger? No, he had a moment out of the final corner. So what about Matty? He stays 11th. So it's going to be Paul and Hill, and it's going to be Peanut. I don't think Peanut will have the battery.
So far, he'll gain he should gain a few positions here. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, up to
nice.
P9, Paul and Hill.
Nice from Paul and Hill, and I think Peanut, obviously having that moment, he'll come across the line. Sadly, he'll start this race from last. But Seb didn't need to improve in the end, but Slammer got almightily close. Problem is, both Red Bulls are half a second clear of the field.
That's why your track position for quali is so important, Scotty. Unfortunately, Peanut's learnt the hard way there with coming out while all the other drivers are about to set their lap time. So, quali, Scotty, for the feature race. We've got Seb on pole, Slammer, Tetris, King Donga, Cubing Unseen, Jetman, Original Paulie D, David, Paul and Hell, Arcade Gaming, Batman, Matty, AU, Deadly Fella, Don War, Evil Blade, Almighty Gob, Bridgie, and Peanut, rounding your top 18. Do we have two drivers?
Yes, we had
into the session.
Yeah, we had Matty and Jetman. They were the two that joined us. So,
gotcha. Cool.
So Jetman with sort of the late run and only the one lap did a good job getting P6. Matty AU was slightly up, so Matty a little bit of a mistake, but P12 as I think we see our first little bit of sunlight tonight. Actually, it's still overcast, but it's there but we've got a little bit of sunlight, so. Tyres will be interesting around here for a 50%er.
Yeah.
I think the one-stop work. Problem is I don't think I've done a 50% race around here in the dry because I think the one and only race I've done around here in Spa was the 100% Enduro for DRS. So that obviously was completely different to here. So I'd imagine if you make the one-stop work, that should be quicker.
Yeah, it should be a one-stop medium-hard strategy. Undercut here at Spa is incredibly powerful, just simply due to the length of the overall lap and fresh tyre delta that it gives you. So interesting to see if anyone starts on the hards. You shouldn't see the softs off the line. most of the goods should be on the mediums, and we should expect to see pit stops anywhere between lap 8 and 11. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously safety cars can be definitely a possibility around here. Obviously, turn one, cold tyres off the start. Over Rouge, you can have a few issues. Out of the Stavelo, you can have some issues as well, as we have our 5 red lights now on. The feature race here in Belgium, Tier 3, AUSF1. We're underway, and it's a good start from Seb. Tetris actually side by side with Slammer. As we go through La Source for the first time, Tetris having the inside line, but Slammer should have better traction having the outside line, and he's right on the rear end of the McLaren. He's not going to be able to send it before going up Eau Rouge, but if he has his foot down, he's got a little bit of space to the car behind. But does Tetris maybe think about the move for P number 1? As it is going to be Slam. He has a little bit of a look, but nothing doing. As we see the side-by-side action, we've got an RB and a Mercedes. That is Jetman and F1 Original Paulie. He gets a little bit shuffled out, and that allows RK Gaming to move up into P7. So Paulie losing out a couple of positions there at Lecom. And through Ravage, he's a little bit wide, having to defend from Matty AU, who's moved up a couple of positions. Peanut, I think, has moved up a couple. Bridges lost a few himself, as you can see, and Aston Martin running really wide. That was Deli Fuller as well. So both Aston Martins at the back of the train. So few issues there, but at the moment, Sebi with the 8/10 gap, he got the perfect start and getaway, and he is leading lap number 1 of 22.
Yeah, interesting to start. Matty was very feisty through turn 1 and up through Radio and Eau Rouge. Gained 3 positions by the time we got to Eau Rouge. So Matty's definitely on the charge there.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yellow flag.
There.
Oh.
At the back. Looks like he's got going again.
He's got wing.
He's lost half his front wing. So
yeah, there's a few guys with front wing damage. You can see the end plate damage from Bridger. He's picked it up on the right hand side. I had switched to Matty AU because Matty AU's got front wing damage as well. You can see I believe it's the left hand side. Yeah, it is left-hand side end plate. He's gone from Matty AU, so he might have made up a couple of positions, but he's been heavily lost with the front wing damage. And not too bad with this section of track, but it is going to hurt him towards the middle part of the lap. But DRS for the first time tonight will be activated, and it's going to be Tetris that has it on Seb K21. Seb already trying to break the toe. Not going to be enough, but what about King Dogger thinking about a move on Cubing Unseen? Nothing doing there. As we look further down the field, gaps pretty spread out. So no one really making a move. No one has actually come in and made a pit stop either. So we're all going to be single fold through here. Yeah, I say mostly clean because I've got about 4 drivers showing front wing damage. So a little bit of argy-bargy as... Oh, Gob's got massive wing damage. I don't know how he's going to try and stay out with that level of damage on the right-hand side. He's going to try, but... I think we might see the Sauber in sooner rather than later. But tyres on screen. So F1 Original Paulie, he's gone the hard tyre. Deli Fuller's gone the hard tyre. Problem is Deli Fuller had a poor lap number 1, going super wide at turn 9. And that's forced him at the back. How many positions has he lost? He's lost a few. Matty AU's around. And he has he's lost it before Stavelo. So whether he's had contact with someone or maybe he just got onto he might have just gone wide and went onto the gravel. And that probably was due to the front wing high fuel as well in these cars at the moment. So Matty AU might be coming in for a pit stop. But as we start lap 3:22, Tetris with the fastest lap, then that is taken away by Slammer. So it is Red Bull, McLaren, Red Bull, your top 3. Slammer, the quickest of the 3 the last time round. But obviously everybody behind Seb having DRS. As we got Peanut. No, there's contact. Casters in the wall. And there's absolute mayhem at La Source. Multiple cars getting even more damage. Batman, I'm assuming if he's facing that direction, he's been turned. Or he's just lost the rears. As we quickly go back up to the fight. Got close, but no moves between the top 3. But chaos there. As Bridgie's got no front wing. Yeah, you can see there, no end plates on either side, barely a front wing, and clearly had no turning power to get through Eau Rouge, and he barely struggles to stop that car coming through Lecom. So a few drivers will have to make a pit stop this coming lap. So Mayhem, I think he tried to get out of his way of his teammate, nearly runs into him. But thankfully, Deli Fuller gets through on the hard compounded tyres. But Deli Fuller's got no front wing either. Both his end plates are gone too.
Oh,
so
geez. As soon as I say it's mostly clean.
yeah, Aston Martin's had a hell of an opening couple of laps. Peanut makes his way through, but Peanut's got end plate damage on the right hand side. So it's been mayhem up the back. Meanwhile, the top three have actually broken away from Cubing Unseen. That gap just holding a second, but he's desperately trying to potentially use a little bit of ERS to just close that gap up, which he does successfully do. Oh, he just gets within 1 second at the detection point. So as we come
he's
through,
been tethering there for a while. The 1 second mark, Cubing Unseen.
yeah,
He's been losing an awful lot of time through the second sector. The gap there was at 1.7 seconds at one point. So if he loses DRS, he will be under threat by King Donga. But it looks like he got a much better exit there out of turn one. So he will be given a little bit more breathing room there from King Donga. But Jetman currently P6 there in Mercedes. King Donga shouldn't have DRS here to the Ferrari. No, he doesn't. So can Jetman get close enough for a move? No, not quite. He's thought better of it. So yeah, Jetman all up the back of King Donga P5. So what Cubing really needs to do here is get back into that DRS of Slammer. Easier said than done. Once you get over that DRS train here at Spa, it's very difficult to get back into it. But
yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm curious to see how much sort of Seb's sort of just maybe managing his pace at the moment, because you have a feeling as soon as Seb breaks that DRS from Tetris is going to be in a fair bit of trouble with Slammer there. But you can sort of see the flashing lights on both the McLaren and the Red Bull and the Ferrari behind. So they're just trying to save as much ARS through this middle sector. Just try and save it up. To potentially get a move. But Tetris has broken the DRS. So problem is for Tetris, he's gonna have to burn a lot of battery here just to stay within DRS. But that doesn't allow him to sort of make an attack on Seb, and he's never closed that gap. So Tetris won't have DRS down the start-finish straight, so he has to really ace these next couple of corners and get a really nice run out of the source. Otherwise, Slammer, you can see right on the back, he might even potentially have a move down at turn one. Surely you don't do that knowing that you're going to be so vulnerable down the Kemmel Straight. Thankfully for himself, he avoids that, but he should have a massive run. You can see 3/10 behind, on board with Slammer.
Practically pushing him up the hill there.
Pretty much. This should be an easy move. Tetris already sort of hugging the middle to the left-hand side of the road. I think he knew he was pretty much cooked there. So Slammer up into P2. And it is roles reversed from the sprint. It is Seb now leading from Slammer. Tetris in P3. Tetris, if he can just hold on to Slammer, just get the DRS, keep Cubing Unseen at bay. Tetris could be looking at a potential P3 tonight, but good pace from Slammer, of course. So we'll see if he can sort of start closing that gap to Seb K. Gap in qualifying was only about just over 1/10 of a second, so fairly close in terms of margin between the two. But again, long race, and I reckon a little bit of time management to obviously make sure that the one stop is very easily done.
Yeah. Just watching the two Mercedes there as well, Scotty P6 and 7 at the moment. RK was a lot closer to Jetman in the last lap, but he's dropped out to 1.5 seconds now. So I'm not sure if he's managing a little bit there, as you say, just to make sure that one stop works, or if he's had a bit of a moment. But Jetman, is currently ahead in the championship. So Jetman, for his sake, won't want RK to get any closer than he is. But at the same time, would love to time along to maximise the points there for the Mercedes team.
Yeah, considering that Jetman was obviously checked out of this event tonight, he's been able to actually jump in and join. So I think any points that Jetman does grab, it's going to be bonus points for him anyway. So all he needs to do is, if he can sort of get King Dogger, top 5 finish for him would be really, really good. Problem is, two of his championship rivals are leading 1 and 2, and they don't look like they're going to be stopped anytime shortly. Slammer did get DRS and will have it down this Kemmel Straight, but being 8/10 back, I don't think he'll really go for a move. Tetris able to hold on though, so doing a good job. That gap's now 2.5 seconds between himself and Cubing Unseen.
And Paulie there, Scotty, in P10's making a move up the inside on David on the Alpine. Thinks better of it, pulls out there. Donmore coming through in the Ferrari there. B11's right up the back of Ferrari. No positions changed. I was surprised there to see Paul and L didn't make that move on David. Had a much better run with DRS, but potentially a little bit of variation there in car setup as well. I think Jetman's running a bit lower wings compared to RK as well. Jetman's definitely been pushing to stay in Dogger's DRS just as much as Dogger's been pushing to get Jetman out of his DRS. As you can see, Dogger doesn't have much battery left hardball here, so might see a position change here with the next DRS straight between Dogger and Jetman there for P5. But other than that, everything's sort of staying pretty still for the time being, Scotty. Not many other positions changed.
Yeah, we did see Gob getting past Bridgie with front wing damage, so I'm pretty sure he's come in, fixed his wing, and then picked up more front wing damage, I'm pretty sure, because he had a lot more damage to that front wing when we saw him last, so clearly not enjoying...
Yeah, there's no end plate.
Yeah, not enjoying his race last time. A slammer right on the back of Sebi as we come through La Source. Goes a little bit deep, which will help Seb down this bit of a straight before we come to Eau Rouge. But it's half a second at the moment. The slammer try and push it a little bit. Don't think he's going to be close enough. And you can just see Seb just manage the gap. Push away a little bit. We had the quick onboard there, slammer, so sort of quickly saw what his battery levels were like. But as I said, sitting comfortably as F1 Original Paulie. Those hard tyres now really coming into effect. He gets past RK Gaming for P7. Donmore and Paul and L fighting side by side, and Donmore gets the move done. So Paul and L obviously must have just dropped outside DRS of David, and Donmore's able to capitalise. So Donmore potentially just managing those medium tyres just a little bit better, and is looking good. So we'll see if he can close up to David and see if he can just make another move to P9. Jetman still stuck in P6 behind King Dogger. So I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering if Jetman's just running a little bit higher wings, so he's good in this sector, but then King Dogger just completely clears him in sectors 1 and 3. But he's
Paulie's flying. Scotty there on the hard,
sorry.
so.
As it with Jetman having another big moment. I think that's the second lap in a row that Jetman's had a moment at that corner off the exit. So really good if he's trying to close down the Sauber in front. But he just loses just those crucial couple of tenths to even think about having to move on Sauber in front. So, but
definitely the crossover point here, Scotty, between the hards and the mediums.
Yeah, Jetman jumping.
7, yeah, he's in. That's a very early stop. Yeah, really early stop. He needs to massage those hards if he's going to go to the end. But Paulie did actually close down that gap by around 8 tenths that lap there on the hards. So definitely we're at the point now where the hards will be quicker than the mediums. So we'll see how much time Paulie cuts off there from Dogger's lead, P5. But a little bit further back there, we've got Donmore P9 on the Ferraris. Right at the back of David, who will get DRS here, 6 tenths behind. We'll drain the battery, but at the same time David does. So that's the hard part of this first DRS track. Does he go for a move? No, thinks about it, decides better.
It's very tempting to just stick the nose up the inside there, but the car's not expecting it as Matty AU retires in pit lane. So our first retirement from actually both races, actually. We had no retirements in the sprint, so first retirement of the night. That's Matty AU, sadly, joining in main quali, and yeah, sadly not his race, unfortunately. So yeah, I was just going to point out as RK Gaming picks up a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, Paulie was he was quicker than everybody else on track, apart from the 2 leaders. So line on those hards.
Yeah, Dogger will see that delta continuously dropping. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of pit stops this lap as well, Scotty. But looking back to, sorry, was it Evil Blade? Sorry, Jetman. Jetman was the first medium runner to swap over to the hards. Looking at his second sector, yeah, it's not representative because of the pit stop, but we'll see. Does anyone come into the pits yet?
So King,
no, doesn't look like medium runners are off.
Oh, as Paulie has a big moment coming out of the final corner. So Kingy must feel like that he's already lost out due to the undercut. So he's not going to try and cover this. So he'll try and get a bit of an offset the other way. And try and run the hards lesser laps, but he's going to be really slow, or quite slow on these tyres. It's Jetman, lovely bit of clean air actually. He's got 7 seconds to Paul and L in front, so he can absolutely use these hard compounded tyres. But as to your point earlier, you don't really want to burn them out and be super aggressive early on, otherwise you're going to really cook them for the last couple of laps, especially if we do get a late-ish VSC or safety car that could put you at risk. But yeah, Paulie.
Yeah, as soon as they start pushing and sliding, the hards particularly will just overheat to no end. It's really difficult to get that tyre temperature back down again on those hard tyres, so he's got a long way to go.
Yes, we just saw Tetris go a little bit wide at Puon and potentially could have been a warning there. And Cubing's just bringing that gap down a little bit. I think Tetris is the one struggling on his tyres with the top four. Last time around, Tetris was about 6/10 slower than what Cubing Unseen did. So Cubing just looking up his tyres a little bit better. So the top two might be gone, but we're still going to have I think a pretty good battle for our final spot on the podium. And potentially, if you're Cubing, you might actually try and pit this lap. Maybe get that undercut on Tetris. It's going to be a matter of who blinks first. Tetris, he's the one struggling. He stays out. What does Cubing do?
Slammer's in. Slammer's the first Red Bull in.
And this is team versus team. So Slammer, surely this will gift him the race lead, because he's going to be super quick on the hards unless he catches traffic. I think he's just going to avoid the group behind him. King Dogger comes in, RK Gaming comes in. We need to watch Slammer on exit. As you can see, the Ferrari and the McLaren, Dom White and Paul and L. But that's a good pit stop. Slammer comes out in clean air. So surely if you're Seb, you have to come in and stop this lap as he does a personal best through the first sector. So Seb really on the limit, but he's just got to be careful not to go too aggressive on those medium tyres, because you just need to have that one little moment to run wide, and then you're going to be like 3 seconds behind Slammer when you make your pit stop. But Seb's really going to have to push this lap, and Slammer's going to have to absolutely bolt on this out lap to try and make sure he gets that. I think it was about 7/10 when they came in, but this is going to be a hell of the next 2 minutes to find out which Red Bull will lead this race coming on to lap 12.
I think Jetman's well positioned here to gain a few positions. Do you recall, Scotty, what position he was before when he was on the meds when he pit?
P6, because he was behind King Dogger, and you can see he's made up 4.5 seconds with King Dogger just going those 2 laps longer. So made good ground. So Jetman, of course, he's going to be close to Cubing Unseen as well. So the longer Cubing and Tetris go, as Cubing runs wide, runs wide out of Stavilo. So that's more time lost. So if Cubing pits now, Jetman, he may find himself in a podium position here. I have to keep an eye on that. But Seb comes in. He, of course, had to cover. So, again, they're in the I'd imagine they're in a VC together. Tetris covers. Cubing covers as well. So
Slammer's pushing as well, Scott. He's used all of his battery.
Yeah,
we'll see where he comes out.
Sorry, green in the middle sector. So surely, as Seb is not even close to the pit entry, or pit exit, sorry. It's now out, but it's going to be Slammer.
Yep.
That was a great call from Slammer. I reckon Slammer's cheekily done that. Again, they're in the probably in the VC. You said it before we went green for the feature. You said the undercut was going to be very powerful, and that is a 2-second undercut that Slammer pulled off. Now Seb is in the same position as he was in the sprint. He's going to have to overtake his teammate.
And Paulie D there, running on the hards to start. So one of the only 2 drivers to start this race today, Scotty, on the hard. So we'll see when Paulie pulls the trigger that are coming on the medium. So he'll be rapid for the last sort of 9 or 10 laps of this race. But outside of that, RK Gaming is closing right up to the back of Paul and Hell. Does take the position there up at the final first DRS straight up into P10. With that penalty though, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you got that little train heading from P10. Meanwhile, Jetman has undercut Cubing Unseen. Cubing Unseen's obviously lost out. Jetman in P5. He's going to be a net P4 now, and he's only 7/10 behind Tetris for this final podium spot once F1 Original Paulie makes his pit stop. Little cheeky VSC or safety car for Original Paulie in about 1 or 2 laps will absolutely liven up his race. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And Jetman's got DRS as well on Tetris, so if he can use that DRS of Tetris and just help tow him along on those 3-lap-old hard tyres, he'll greatly benefit. But we've got
Paulie, no!
yellow flag there. Paulie's off as he's trying to go into the pits. Oh, that's terrible. He's having such a good run.
So Jetman setting the fastest lap of the race. So I think that's probably about a 5-second time loss from F1 Original Paulie, but he will be on a fresh medium tyre, but that's costly for the RB driver. We'll see what he can do on the fresh medium. But there's not a lot of offset. He's only going to be 1 or 2 laps newer tyres, and those mediums will fall off a lot quicker. You can see just sort of how the pace was between the two. Seb has closed that gap. He's found a second last time around. Obviously, Seb still had the out lap time there, but Seb clearly got more pace than his teammate. But how do these two work together? Obviously, Seb needs to finish ahead of Slammer just to cut down that points deficit. He's currently got 21 points at the moment. As you see, Dom Moore fighting F1 Original Paulie. Dom Moore gets ahead of him. Important move for Dom Moore to try and keep F1 Original Paulie behind him for as long as possible. Just eat away those medium compounder tyres and try and do something with them, as everyone apart from Deli Fuller has made at least 1 pit stop. So Deli Fuller is still carrying that wing damage, so he still hasn't stopped. So he's wanted to make the 1 stop work, but he's just losing a ton of time due to that. So sadly, I think it's looking like Aston Martin will finish 16th and 17th unless we have some major carnage later on. As Seb...
Is Seb going to go for the move here in the bus stop chicane?
Surely you do it.
To wait.
Yeah, sure you get the overtake done down the Kemmel Straight, surely. But Seb got a lot of pace. Problem is, he's had a pretty poor bloody bus stop chicane. He's nearly got that gap out to a second.
Yeah, I was watching Paulie D come out on those fresh mediums just ahead of Dom Moore, but he came out of the pits with 0 battery, and Dom Moore had DRS instantly, so unfortunately a bit of a sitting duck there onto the first DRS straight, but he will be fast on those mediums, so we'll see if he can get that position back up to P8. Outside of that, we've got Evil Blade there in P12, and the Williams is looking to get through the McLaren of Paul and Hell, but other than that, not too many other position changes.
Yeah, and I think Tetris and Cubing have got their sort of hard tyres sort of under control, and I think that's an out Peanut thing. Yes, it is. Peanuts had a moment out of the final corner, so I don't think he's hit the wall, but obviously he got damage as we got Dom Moore and Paul and Hell fighting at Lacombe. Dom Moore around the outside trying to hold it off. F1 Original Paulie couldn't quite get the nose up the inside. He's desperately trying to get past the Ferraris. He goes slightly wide through a Ravage. That may open the door for Arcade, but he wasn't far enough, as that's a wide moment from Evil Blade behind as well, off the exit of turn 8. So all happening sort of in this sort of midfield pack. Top 2 again very close. So Seb on board. I don't think he'll go for it.
Good run here. Yeah.
He's strong. He's strong here. He doesn't go for it.
There's a massive battery offset here as well between Slammer and Seb. Slammer has literally twice as much battery, so as long as he gets a good exit here out of turn 1, Slammer should be able to keep that position.
Yeah, and these guys can afford to battle a little bit because they've got 5 seconds to the car behind. Jetman really struggling, actually. He's down 3.6 seconds off Tetris, so obviously doesn't quite have the pace as the top 4, but he'll still try and fight that out, try and keep that P4. But Seb much closer this time around, and I think it's going to be a done deal. Slammer doesn't really fight that unless he tries to hang around the outside. He's not going to. Seb runs a little bit deep into the corner though, but Seb should hang on. So Seb takes the race lead back. Slammer made the undercut work, but Seb just a little bit more pace. He's up into P1. Jetman with the 3-second time penalty as he loses the position to Cubing Unseen. So he drops a P5 and he's within King Dogger's 3-second window. So might lose another position. Needs to really push on. F1 Original Paulie finally gets the move done. As he's been trying to do that the last couple of laps. He gets past Stockmore. He's up into P8. So he's got fresh mediums. He'll try and chase after David. And I think that's probably as far as he's going to get, as David is 13 seconds behind King Dogger. So it's going to be a battle for P7, you'd imagine, with all this lot. As you can see, 6 cars pretty much in frame. So nice little battle for P7. We're back up to the front though. Slammer. He's about 3 tenths behind.
DRS lap by lap here.
True.
Scotty, because Slammer put up no defence there through the first DRS straight. Had plenty of battery left, didn't defend at all. So I dare say these two are having a chat in the voice chat right now about what they're doing. So.
Yes, Venti, you did say Red Bull 1 and 2. I don't think that was a massive sort of surprise with the way they've been going. Keeping unseen, actually, sets fastest lap. That's a bonus 2 points. Probably had a bit of DRS help as well down the Kemmel Straight to overtake Jetman. So he's taken that opportunity to pinch a couple of points away from Red Bull. So Slammer half second behind. On board, you can see the lead Red Bull flashing. Seb's gone defensive, but I'd imagine he backs out of it, and he does.
Yep.
So the question is, when do you sort of start lining yourself into the position to try and win this race? Do you want to lead the race coming onto the final lap?
Only if you've got 100% battery and a decent enough margin, because if the car behind heading up to Rouge and Ravion is within, sort of 5 tenths and has plenty of battery, that position's pretty much gone. But lots of movement there into turn 1 between Evil Blade and Deadly Fire. Didn't quite see what happened there, but Deadly Fire is missing a front left end plate on the Aston Martin, which is very unfortunate for my fellow Aston Martin teammate. Gob's hanging around there as well, and 10 up all cards. See if he can get through there and kick Sauber. Deadly Fire looks up the inside of Williams. Doesn't quite make the move. Ball position staying still for the time being. Tetris is slowly reducing the deficit to Seb. He's reduced that gap by about 5 tenths this lap. So
yeah, but I reckon both Slam and Seb are saving in the middle sector. I reckon so we're seeing Gob behind Deadly Fuller. Remember, Deadly Fuller, only driver yet to make a pit stop. He's hoping for a safety car, but he's got the front wing damage, and he's not even going to fight Gob. So he'll let Gob through. Gob up into P13. Remember, top 15 score points here at Oz. So Peanut is in the final points paying position. He's got a healthy margin to the Batman behind, who's just made a pit stop onto the hard, so he's had to make a second stop, potentially for damage.
And Paulie's got David as well here as well, Scotty. He will get DRS. He's caught that gap by quite a lot. David there on the hard, so Paulie's making some moves here.
Change for the
race. Sit behind here and get DRS.
Yeah, change for the race lead in the meantime. But again, they're swapping positions. We'll keep an eye on that battle more so towards the final 5 laps when they position themselves. But I think David might be in a little bit of trouble here with F1 Original Paulie. More confidence coming up the hill, more grip, and he's got to potentially make the move just as DRS gets activated. Easy done. I don't think David was going to really fight that too hard. F1 Original Paulie, nice drive from him. Qualified well, racing well. So matter of next task for him is to just get down the road as far as he can, and then when those mediums do eventually have that drop off, he can sort of have that sort of 2-3 second margin, maybe even 4 second margin, to just help defend against the guys behind. So that's sort of his next target, but he's already dropped David outside the 1 second, and it's going to be Donmore and Arcade Gaming really now trying to fight their way through the Alpine and get higher up inside the top 10.
I think Slammer had a moment there during Sector 2 as well, Scott. He has lost DRS to his teammate there, Seb. I noticed the gap to Tetris had dropped about a second, but it has since pulled back out to 5.5. But yeah, importantly, Seb set the fastest lap of the race, 146.1. Slammer won't get DRS here unless his teammate slows down or he gets a very good exit on his
I think Seb will try and push this as King Dogger. No, Jetman comes in. Really comes in. Actually, look at his tyre web. Maybe he did actually have to make that second pit stop. I'm surprised. Some of these guys were really chewing through their tyres. Set of medium tyres goes on to the Mercedes. Problem is, Well,
Well, he does have a big gap.
yeah, I was going to
so-
say, yeah, he's got the big gap, so he's going to be lightning quick on those new mediums. So as long as he can sort of get back past Paulie, he won't have actually lost the position apart from King Dogger. And it's a question of whether King Dogger can sort of get to the end, but he went 2 laps longer. As Evil Blade setting a fastest lap on the new set of hard compound tyres that he's just fitted. As
And
we
Jetman's come out of the pits right behind his fellow Mercedes teammate. I wonder if RK will let him through here or not. No, not quite. So they'll stay as they are for the time being. But he's carrying, well, both of them are carrying that 3-second penalty. So Jetman really needs to make this move done now and focus on getting back up in front of Donmore into P7. But I think P6 is a little bit far out of reach.
And he was right up his teammate's ass that time round. And no team orders from Merck. And this is going to annoy Jetman just a little bit. Oh, is that super wide?
Oh.
Yeah, that's good save for rejoin. Just went a little bit wide, did RK Gaming through Puon. That allowed Jetman to get an easy move. And David should be very easy as Donmore got David earlier on this lap, and you can just see how much more grip that. Oh, got to be careful on that inside curve, but he manages to avoid disaster. And David's just going to give him the inside line. He knows a fresh set of medium tyres. That's going to be well against him. David will now just try and fight to keep RK Gaming behind, or at least try and keep within his 3-second penalty. So Jetman, he's got. You'd hope that he gets the Ferrari this lap, and then he should be on the back of F1 original Paulie the lap after, or by the time we get to lap 20, you'd imagine. That gives him a couple of laps to try and get this move done, and then try and get off down the road as quickly as he can. But Jetman going up over Rouge. That was a lovely camera angle, by the way. As we get the slipstream, the DRS off the Mercedes. This should be an easy move. Donmore goes defensive, but there was absolutely nothing he could have done. He gets the move done. What about the other Mercedes of RK trying to go down the inside, but David defended that nicely from the outside, able to cover it. Oh, do we see a move down at Rivage? The Merc stuck his nose in. David opened up the door just a little bit, or opened up the steering just in case. But David really trying to hustle that Alpine around. RK Gaming not able to find a way through. And David stays in P9. And it's now going to be the battle between Jetman and F1 Original Paulie for P number 6.
Yeah, RK's piling the pressure there on David in the Alpine. Hasn't plummeted under pressure yet so far, but Jetman's timed that pit stop onto the fresh mediums absolutely perfectly, because on both of his laps so far, he's maintained DRS the entire time, so he's had maximum pace the entire time. He's going to go for the move already through Blanchemont, and he gets it done before the bus stop. So Jetman up into P6, he's flying. A little bit too much of a gap here, unless he can somehow manage to close a 13.5-second gap into P5. But outside of that, RK there in P10 can't quite get up the back of David, but he will get DRS on the next main straight. Carrying that 3-second penalty, so he really needs to drop Paul and get past David and drop Paul and Hell as soon as he can if he wants to keep that position with a 3-second penalty.
Yes, Jetman already got the 1-second gap. He just had so much more grip through the bus stop chicane and coming out of the source. The RB may have DRS. No, he didn't. So it was close to a second and managing to actually break that. So good work from Jetman. And now he'll really start pushing on. Yellow flag, Aston Martin down the back. That I think might be Delhi Fuller that's had the moment. His teammate's about to actually get lapped, sadly. So, yeah, disaster for Aston Martin today. No points at the moment because they're about 17 seconds behind Gob, who's on a fresh set of medium tyres. So, that won't be in any danger. So, as
unfortunate night for Aston Martin.
Yeah, we did see RK Gaming gets past David as well, by the way. We're sort of scrolling further down as Delhi Fuller, sadly, coming into the pits to retire. Unfortunate for Aston Martin, as there was a little bit of a moment there from, I think, Donmore having a little bit of a moment, as that midfield battle sort of calmed down a little bit. We'll keep an eye on David anyway. We'll go back up to the front because we haven't spoken about him for the last couple of laps. Gap 1.1. Slammer did get that gap down a couple of times under a second, but he's outside DRS this lap. So probably maybe a little bit of ARS management potentially from him. Won't get DRS this lap, but Slammer is just going to start thinking about, I'd imagine, where he's going to use a bit of ARS. Where does he want DRS? Is he going to lead or want to follow going into the final lap? But they're well clear of Tetris. He's got 6 seconds behind him. Tetris should be very safe in a P3, keeping unseen 3 seconds behind. King Dogger a further 7.9 seconds, and then Jetman, he's well clear of F1 original Paulie now. 1.6 seconds. He needs to push on for the last 2.5 laps, so try and get that 3 second gap. Penalties on your screen. Jetman, RK Gaming, Batman with 3. David gets past RK as well, so David wants to win this on track. He's back up into P9. Just in case maybe Dunmore's tyres fall off a little bit. Yeah, might still be on for the Alpine driver. Paul and Hell is actually close up to this battle as well. They're up. He could try and sneak a top 10 finish for McLaren. Get both cars in the 10. So it's looking close so far. Quick look at the positions, and it is Dunmore up 6 spots. So driven a very, very nice race from P14 on the grid. So doing a fantastic job. As we'll switch to the leaders for our final 2 laps. And Slammer has DRS. Seb is going to have to defend. I don't imagine Slammer will go this lap. But Slammer, you can just see the different lines that these guys take through. And Slammer loses a little bit off the exit. But it's still well within 1 second. So what does Slammer do? 0.6 of a second. He'll have DRS. He won't be close enough, surely, for a move. Not quite.
Not enough battery there too from Slammer. So I dare say the rest of this lap should be about battery recovery, and maybe Slammer will have a go at the last lap. But Seb's purposefully trying to keep him out of DRS. So they're definitely fighting. So we'll see what happens as we nearly approach the last lap of this race.
We'll just say Tetris has actually had another moment that we might have seen, or his tyres have just started to fall off, because QB Unseen nearly closed in by a second that last lap. So gap down to 2.3 now. I think it's going to be a little bit too far to sort of close that gap. RK and David, they're having a nice little scrap. Another position swap between the two. They are P9 and P10. Peanut picks up a 3-second penalty, but he does have 12 seconds to Batman behind, so it shouldn't affect him too much as we come through the final sector on the second last lap. There's blue flags for Bridgie, and this actually might completely gift Seb, because he'll have a bit of DRS. No, that's it.
To get out of the way here.
He's got it. That he should have gotten blue flags. He does get out of the way. Problem is that has completely slowed that. Slammer has a big moment. So I think Seb might have just been completely left off the hook there. So Seb was going to be in real danger because Slammer closing up with how slow he was through the bus stop. Problem is Slammer out of the final corner. That was a shocking final corner from Slammer at the wrong possible moment. So I think Slammer's just going to have to now settle for P2. Both of them will be a little bit unhappy with the lapped car, but yeah, Slammer, that was his opportunity, but he just had the moment at the wrong possible time. And yeah, Seb, he'll, as long as he doesn't make a mistake on this final lap, Seb will claim P1 and his second race win of the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ticket. Unfortunately for Aston Martin there. That did play a pretty big role coming to the bus stop chicane, but nonetheless, we'll see if Slammer's able to reduce that gap to Seb here on the final lap.
I think
very similar battery.
Yeah, I think Slammer's probably conceded here. He'll try and stay within 3 seconds just in case of a sort of a moment from Seb. But yeah, I think that's sadly a little bit of an issue, as David's actually dropped behind Paul and L. So that little battle that I said between RK Gaming and David, David must have made a mistake, because he dropped 2.3 seconds, and now Paulie's got past him. He gets inside the top 10 for McLaren. But we'll head back up to our two Red Bull drivers, and Seb pretty much had his teammate right on his rear end for all of that race. Slammer able to make the undercut work. Problem is Seb had a bit too much pace on him, got the move back. They switched of position a few times, but as we come around the final corner, it is going to be Seb K21. He wins his second race of the season. He wins at Belgium, the feature race. Slammer finishes in P2. Tetris is just going to hold on. He finishes just 1.2 seconds ahead. Tetris is on the podium once again. Jibbing Unseen just misses out, but a great race from the Ferrari driver. King Dogger finishes in P5. Great race from him as well. Jetman has a spin, and he hits the wall.
Oh no!
He had P6 locked down, and he's gonna have horrible tyres. So not only does he drop P6, he's got to drop down to P7 because of his time penalty as well. So a moment out of the final corner has dropped Jetman 2 positions and crucial points that he did not want to drop compared to the Red Bull boys. Obviously, that they were sort of going to outscore him anyway. But just a silly little mistake.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Yeah, so P8 for Jetman. Paulie getting P9, so great effort from both Paulies. F1 original Paulie P6 in the end, great effort, and then VSC Paul and held P9. RK Gaming in P10, David in 11th, Evil Blade 12th, and we'll go through the rest of the results very shortly. But it is Red Bull domination here at Belgium, 1-2 in the sprint, 1-2 in the feature. As we see the overalls of Red Bull on the podium. Tetris having another great race as well. So it is Seb who will cut the margin down by 6 points. So the margin will be 15 points going into the next round number 6. So plenty of play for both Red Bull boys. Slammer taking out the sprint, but more points means Seb closes that gap when we started the night. But Tetris, great effort from him as well. As driver of the day, I think, will go to Dom Moore. Yes, it does. Seb K was your race winner. Evil Blade with the fastest lap. He'll get the 2 bonus points. F1 original Paulie, most overtakes and cleanest driver. As Zilla quickly take us through our race results for the feature.
Yep. So Seb P1, Slammer, Tetris, Cubing Unseen, King Dogger, F1 Original Paulie D, Don Ward, Jetman, David, Bridgie, Paul and Hell, Batman, RK Gaming, Evil Blade, Almighty Gob, Peanut, Deadly Fella, and the game's just ended.
And
I didn't see who was last.
Matty AU, obviously with the early retirement, finishing, not finishing, but he was 16 laps. Only did six laps from Matty AU, sadly with the early retirement. So I think we've got all the names. Domwell, I think we said, was driver of the day. So we'll head back to our filler screen. So we'll quickly jump into the podium interviews chat. So just the one below, and we'll jump into there now. Right, so as we wait for our top 3, but Zilla, thoughts on tonight's action? Great racing between both the sprint and the feature. Different conditions for each, but great battles along the way.
Yeah, interesting session there, with conditions changing between the wet and the dry. As you say, absolute dominance there from the Red Bull pair. Lots of great battles behind. I think original Paulie D definitely impressed me with his strategy choice, and Dommer as well, driver of the day. Well done.
Yeah, great effort from then. We do have our top 3 in here, so I will start with our P3. Oh, no, I thought we had it. I heard 3 dings, but it was the wrong ding for somebody else, so just wait for Tetris to hop in. So I might actually leave it with you, Zilla. Do you want to have a chat with our P2 driver, Slammer?
Yep, Slammer.
Yo.
How do you summarise that, mate?
Yeah, it was fun. I think the sprint race was not so much pace. I think it was just knowing that the Inters were going to be better at the end. Just trying to keep up with, I think it was Cubbing up there through the sprint race, and I knew at some point the Inters were just going to be better, so just had to chill it out there, and yeah, that was all right. And then the race, same sort of thing. It's like I wasn't 100% sure on tyres, like whether they were going to easily make it or if it was going to be tough. The wear was looking all right, so yeah, the first stint was just sitting back a little bit, and I think Tetris and Sebi, when Sebi got a good start, Tetris got a great start and jumped me, and I just thought just chill in there for a bit. A little bit of an opportunity showed itself, so I thought, you know what, I'll get up the front with a teammate, and we both decided we'll just have a bit of a push and see if we can drop him, because I think it's fair to say Sebi was just sort of chilling a little bit out the front there, trying to also conserve his tyres. And yeah, once we sort of hit the go button, yeah, we sort of got away a little bit, coordinated the pit stops nicely, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to ask about that. Was it planned that Seb would do the undercut on you, or?
No, well, I actually went in first, so he was leading. Yeah, he was leading, so he had choice. Yeah, so he basically said to me he wants to go lap 10. So I thought, well, I'm definitely not going 11. I think that's a little bit too late. So I'll take 9. So yeah, I worked around Seb. He was leading. He gets first choice. So yeah,
Cool.
that's sort of the way it goes, and it sort of worked out for us in the end.
That's good teamwork. And what do you make of the end there? I know on the last lap, unfortunate there, we had an Aston Martin with blue flags coming into the pits, which created a bit of an issue there, starting your final lap.
Oh, well, look, I heard a tirade from Seb at the end of qualifying for the main race. I didn't want to hear another one, but it was coming. In all honesty, if I didn't lose, the arse end just slipped out on the exit from that last corner, and if it didn't, I know I would have had a good run on him. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't have taken that opportunity either, because not really fair. He was clearly ahead. I tried to manage behind him for a bit and literally set it all up for the second to last lap. Sort of stuffed it a little bit, yeah.
It sounds like you guys have a good working relationship there in Red Bull. That's how you win championships. So
well, yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, like we're trying to do it for the team as a whole. So there's no way I'm going to send it on him. That's just not going to happen. Ask him what his thoughts were in the sprint race, and he might give you a different opinion. But I might have to note that one for next time where the roles are reversed. But nah, it was good fun. It was just well managed, I think, from the two of us, and Pepsi in the chat as well, having a chat in our ear and letting us know what's going on. It was just a good all round team effort.
Also, okay, so you actually had Apollo Pepsi engineering you guys. Yep.
Yeah. Returning the favour from a couple of nights ago.
I believe we're just waiting for Tetris to jump into the chat. But
Sadly, sorry, I'll just butt in. Sadly, he can't join us, Tetris. So obviously we'll chat about him shortly. One question for you, Slammer.
Yes,
are you showing up next week at your favourite track, Canada?
Chance I won't be, but no, I don't really subscribe to that too much. I hate it, and I'll just do it. And if I do it badly, I do it badly. This week, I literally no prep. Well, I suppose in comparison to other weeks, but having said that, as you know, we had DRS there a few weeks ago, 100% race, and I busted my balls for it for that one. And yeah, Canada. Oh, yes, even Seb was asking me beforehand. I really don't like it. I'm slow, but yes, all things being equal, I'll be there, and hopefully do all right. Depends how the practice will go during the week too, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true as well. But congratulations, P2. I think your margin at the top is 15 points. So obviously, you probably won the wrong race with sort of the points, but 15 points lead going into Canada. Congratulations, and looking forward to seeing.
Red Bull 1-2 in both races, mate. I'm not going to complain.
Domination. So congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
P1 Sebi. Looking strong as always. Just missing out in the sprint, but yeah, you pretty much had it covered with Slammer, and obviously, besides sort of the little bit of lap traffic, you managed that race nicely. Congratulations. How was it from your point of view?
Yeah, cheers, Scotty. Look, no, it was fun managing the pace. Always kind of a preferred way to go about things. Look, sprint qualifying didn't go our way. Look, just some unfortunate issues on our end. Wasn't good enough for myself. That really should have ended up as another win for myself. You know, I'm here to win titles. I'm here to push on as a team. I'm here to push on as a driver. But no, good result for the team. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, I mean, look, we did a decent amount of prep for this one. A decent amount of prep, and look, qualifying didn't go our way. And Slammer is right that, yeah, look, he did get a bit of a bollocking. Not him deliberately, but there was a bit of a bollocking towards some people that just clearly don't have their head screwed on right, which is just really frustrating. And look, I'll be going to the stewards, and I won't be accepting this from people any longer. And look, if it came down to the last lap, where it gets a lapped car involved, I'm disappointed that that's the way things may end in the future. I just think people, look, need to have a bit more of a head screwed on. The Aston Martin could have let us go a lot earlier, but he didn't. He didn't because people generally don't look forward. I had the strategy planned out before the race. I saw it was dry. I knew I was going to go 10 laps. It was just about managing the tyre wear in that first stint, and we did that, and we executed that as a team, and I executed that as a driver.
Yeah, so obviously the call sort of you knew Slammer was always going to come in that lap earlier.
Yeah, I'd said to him probably 3 or 4 laps earlier, Slammer, I'm targeting lap 10. Go the undercut or go the overcut. I don't mind. And he said, starting lap 9, I'm going to go this lap. And I said, okay, no worries. I just, wanted, I guess, to not necessarily have equal tyre wear, but, like I said, I've done a lot of prep. I'm here to win. I'm here to compete. And look, it's kind of unfortunate that competing with your teammate, because it's a bit awkward in the party chat where you sit there going, I want to beat this guy. But also, I can't hit him. I can't touch him. I don't want to get near him. I don't want to do something wrong for the team. I don't want to do wrong anything at all. But yeah, look, we take away the points, and this is going to be an interesting battle that will continue for however long it continues.
Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, I want to beat him. I'm thinking I'm going to let you win.
No. I'm sitting there thinking I'm here to win. I am here to win. This is gonna end up being a kind of both drivers are the number 1 driver situation. There is no number 2 driver.
Leave it for the post-race briefing, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for you, Seb, obviously going into next week, Canada, I know obviously that's one of the weaker ones for Slammer. How do you find it? Because I think you like Canada, don't you?
Look, I'm not a massive fan of it. Look, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just not a massive fan of it. Look, yeah, most certainly knowing where weaknesses are is, look, I'm happy to hear it. I'm disappointed for the team that, look, maybe results won't go away, but that's okay. We do the practice, we do what we can, and we move on week in, week out. Ultimately, the overall goal being both the driver and the TP is the combined constructors. And the drivers will come second to that. More like a 1.1 rather than a second. But, look, we'll put the practice in, we'll get the laps in, and we'll get the best result we can. And if things don't go our way, we'll move on as a team. We'll continue to move forward and take this fight to Mercedes.
Yeah, 100%. But a great effort from both of you tonight, Seb, including you. Obviously, margin down to 15 points as we head into round 6, Canada. But another victory for yourself, 2 wins for you now. So big congratulations on tonight, and look forward to see what you can do next week at Canada.
Cheers, Scotty. Thank you. And thanks a lot.
Well done, boys.
Well done. Sadly, Tetris not able to join us. Still, a quick word on Tetris's race. Obviously, P3, fantastic race for him. He finished P4 in the sprint as well. So great amount of points for Tetris. He had a very nice night tonight.
Yeah, good point haul overall for Tetris. I think, like, realistically, with the pace that the 2 Red Bull boys have shown, that's, sort of best case scenario for the McLaren driver. So it's just those opportunities you have to take advantage of. Round 5 of this championship, it's a long one. It's a competitive grid here in T3 as well. So the more that he can just be consistent, he'll maintain that position.
Exactly right. So obviously he was tied with Seb in P2 in the championship, so he'll lose a few points, but obviously still well within striking distance. Obviously long season, and a couple of DNFs can of course throw things out of whack. So shout out to Tetris for the podium. So a quick look at our provisional results from tonight's feature race. So Seb, Slammer, Tetris, of course, your top three. Cubing Unseen and King Dog rounding out our top five. Evil Blade for Williams picking up the fast lap with a 1:45.550, obviously on those new hard compounder tyres with that late pit stop. Don Moore picking up the game driver of the day, moving up 7 positions, started 14th, finishing 7th. Probably my driver of the day as well. Fantastic race for him. Nearly caught F1 Original Paulie at the end, but yeah, Don Moore, a fantastic driver of the day. But that will wrap us up for the week, the sprint week at Belgium for round number 5 here at Oz. Zilla, thank you very much for your company tonight. Absolute pleasure commentating with you this evening.
Thanks, mate. Great to be a part of it. Never say no to being back at Belgium. It's a great track.
Yeah, lovely track in game. And thank you everybody for watching. The next time you'll see us live is Monday night, 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, for round number 6, and that is Montreal in Canada. So Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7:30. So look out for that. Enjoy the rest of the week and the weekend, and we'll catch you Monday night for the next round of AUSF1. Thank you very much for your company, and we'll see you then.